Well, good morning, everybody. You guys sound like you're still asleep. Good morning.
Good morning.
One more time. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yay! You are awake, kind of, but that's okay. I'll wake you up, I hope. I just got back from Kauai. Went on an amazing vacation. It was beautiful, so aloha. Aloha. Yes, mahalo. From the Garden Isle. It was an amazing, extraordinary vacation. And I really, really loved everything that I was doing. I had an experience where I went with Marco. Do you guys remember Marco? He did that really cool workshop. Marco took us up to the top of this mountain. And on the very top of the mountain, there's this grassy field. And so we had this opportunity to sit there and do some energy work connecting with the energy of the earth and the sun and the sky. And it was very beautiful. We were sitting up there feeling the humid air on our faces and looking out at the lush green landscaping. And it was just so beautiful. And then off to the corner, there was these two people arguing. And it just was so funny to me because I thought, oh, I'm here in heaven, right? I'm at the most gorgeous space on the planet, and there's two people that are bickering. And it made me realize that, that's kind of how it is all the time. I mean, we really are in heaven all the time, but we're not really recognizing that we're there, right? And so sometimes we're unaware that we're more present to the argument, they're more present to the presence, right? So what does this have to do with sacred giving? Sacred giving is something that we teach here because we teach a 5-point balanced spiritual practice: prayer, meditation, study, service, and sacred giving, also known as circulation. And basically, we teach here that what you put out into the world is what you get back. It's kind of like the law of attraction. If you put out anger and disappointment, then you get back more anger and more disappointment. And so we like to talk about all of these theories and about prosperity, but really, people don't like to talk about money. And so in this month, we're talking not only about sacred giving, which doesn't necessarily always have to do with money, but we're talking about learning and practicing the tools of financial freedom. And so it can have to do with having an argument on a mountain can affect your own finances. You see, everything in this life is interconnected. We have an absolute connection to everybody and to every mode of being. So if you start practicing forgiveness in your life, then maybe your finances turn around. Or if you start paying more attention to your finances, then your relationships turn around. So everything is connected. We also have circulation as our nature. We can't live just by taking it in or just by giving it out. Basically, the opposite of circulation is stagnation, right? So if you're having stagnation in any area of your life, if relationships, your finances, your health, any of those areas of your life, then possibly you need to start practicing circulation. And we talk about circulation, the topic today is circulation. It's good for the body, it's good for the soul, right? Because you think about this, if you breathe in air, and then you don't let it out, life is going to suck really bad. You got to let your air out, right? You got to give out. And whether you're giving your money or your time or your resources, it doesn't matter. You got to keep continuing to circulate. So this book that I'm reading this month called Spiritual Economics is basically, I'm not reading this because this center wants to get your houses and your pocketbooks and your boats. We're not interested in getting your stuff. I'm interested in getting your consciousness shifted so that you recognize that you're completely abundant already. It's about changing where you're coming from, not about what is going on outside, but what is going on inside. So we're going to talk about 3 things today. 1, start imagining something greater. 2, have faith. And 3, evaluate your attitude towards work. So the first thing, start imagining something greater. The truth is, you do not see things as they are. You see things as you are. So what's going on around you is a reflection of what's going on within you. If every single person you meet is a jerk, there's one common denominator, and that's you. Now, if there's one person you're going along your day, and there's one person who's a jerk, and then everybody else is really nice, then what's a common denominator? You. Maybe that person's having a bad day. And so finding the compassion for what's going on with other people is really a big thing. Like, you don't know if that person who cut you off just got a divorce letter from their spouse. You know, you don't know what's going on in people's lives. So if you're going to assume something about them, why not assume the best? Dr. David gave a talk about that in San Jose, that he chose to assume the best. And from that point on, I decided to take that on to myself. So anybody in this room, if something's going on between us, and it seems like there's a disagreement or a miscommunication, I'm going to assume the best of you. I am absolutely going to assume the best of you. Because I know when I put that energy out there, that's what comes back at me. So even if I'm wrong, usually I'm right. People are always doing the best that they can. And the best that they can may differ from moment to moment. Many of us want a new and broader life, and we decide to hang on to those same thoughts, the beliefs, attitudes, habits, and actions of our current life. Oh, I want something different. Give me something different. Oh, I want a different life. Make me more prosperous. Make me, more better in relationships. All of this, but then we don't want to change, right? Oh, it's so easy to say, you know what, you should change. You're my relationship. You're the one who needs to change. But it's a lot harder to say, hey, there's 2 people here, and if I want something to change, it's got to be me. So that's the fun part of this teaching, Science of Mind, because it's not about changing other people, it's about changing ourselves. And that means we have to take ownership of what we have in our life. That means we have to own our own choices, forgive ourselves, and then make a new choice in a way that's empowering for ourselves. Because again, we're all connected. So every time you make a choice that's empowering for yourself, then you're making a choice for humanity that's empowering humanity. The truth is that God is our source. God, Spirit, the universe, whatever you want to call it, there's something bigger, right? There's something enormously huge that caused everything to come into creation. And this thing, whatever you call it, Allah, Source, the One, is a thing that is everywhere present. You're an individualization of this one thing. It is your source. Your consciousness, God's consciousness, is your supply. So as you expand your consciousness, you expand into the truth of your being. Sometimes we don't take the time to do that. Like, how many of you have visualized, like, hey, today I'm going to sit here and visualize a bigger life for myself. I'm going to visualize something greater than I have. Did you do that today yet? No, not yet. There was an experiment at the University of Chicago. They had a number of students, and they divided them into 3 test groups. And first, they were tested on how well they throw a basket into a hoop. So they tested everybody individually. Okay, you do this well, you do this well. And then they broke them up into 3 groups. The first group, they said, pretend this test never happened. We'll come back and talk to you in a month. The second group, they said, now what you're going to do is you're going to go for an hour a day and you're going to practice shooting hoops. An hour a day for 30 days. And the third group, they said, you're going to go home, get to a quiet space, and in your mind you're going to imagine that you're throwing hoops for an hour a day. And so they brought everybody back together at the end of 30 days, and the first group had no improvement. They shot the hoops again, they were the same. The second group, who had practiced an hour a day, they had a 24% improvement. And the third group, who practiced an hour a day in their heads, had a 23% improvement. So imagine that all you have to do is imagine your greater life for it to come into being. And are you willing to take the time out to do that? The second step is have faith. Jesus said, all things are possible to him that believeth. But really, what does it mean to believe? What does it mean to have faith? What is faith to you? Anybody? Faith? What does that mean? Yes. A knowing connection to God, yeah. Yeah. Being, that's good.
Knowing without seeing. Nothing proves it, but you just know it.
You know it without seeing it. Yeah.
Trust.
Trust, yes. You believe it. You believe it. Yeah. 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 I mean, it's easy to say, oh, just have faith, right? Oh, that's so easy. I'll just put that faith on, you know. It's not really a constant. The thing is that when we're not having faith, we believe in a God out there, right? There's something out there. The thing itself is out there, but really God, the thing itself is what it is a process of revealing life. Emerson said, when you break with the God of tradition and cease from the God of the intellect, then God will fire you up with the presence. Butterworth said, God is not the great man of the heavens, the great purser of accounts and disperser of divine substance. God is the transcendent whole of things, which you are an individualized part. The whole of the universe of innate substance is centered in you. The universe was no centered in Jesus than it was in you. So you think, well, if this amazing consciousness, this master who walked the earth, Jesus, if he had everything that I have, how come I don't have everything that he had, right? How come I can't touch people and heal them? Well, you can. But do you believe it? The truth is that Jesus was centered in a discipline, in an art. He had a spiritual practice that he did every single day. And what he did is he focused on the knowledge that the Infinite One is his source. And he practiced recognizing that wherever he went. Now, you think maybe you come in here, I say a couple words, you walk out enlightened. Well, it doesn't really happen that way. It could. You know, thank you, God, if it does. But really, you gotta think, do you think Barb or Deanna became great musicians in one day, in 1 hour? No, they had to practice. Any great master has to practice. And that's why we encourage you to do your spiritual practice. It's like you're exercising your spiritual muscle. When you start exercising, you're like, hey, my practice today is I'm going to recognize all the places where God is my source today. You start opening yourself up to recognizing your truth. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And the more you recognize that, the more you say, hey, I can heal you. Because really, there's nothing to be healed because you're already healed. I see it. I recognize it. I don't even have to do anything. It's already done. And it is. And that's how it works. Butterworth says that the definition of faith is the consciousness centered in the universal source. So to have faith means that your consciousness is centered in the universal source, which means you are centered in the awareness that you already have everything that you need. So there's no getting something, trying to be something, achieving this or acquiring that. There is the knowing that it's already here, that you already are it. You're not trying to be enlightened, you are enlightened. You're not trying to be connected to God, you are connected to God. There's no trying, there just is. See, faith is not a process of believing in something. It's the positive act of turning on something. Not believing in, but believing from. For instance, I have a light in my house. It has a dimmer switch, right? And so the light bulb doesn't get any less electricity. The abundance of electricity is available to the light bulb, but I just turn on or turn off the dimmer switch, right? So each and every one of us in our lives, we have that same capacity. So if things aren't working, there's an aspect of your life where you have the little dimmer switch turned down. And all you have to do is turn it on, is to awaken, to open up, to reveal the fact that it's already there, and to accept it and take it on. There's no trying to get what Divine has, what Kathy has, because you already got it. There's just revealing more and more of the truth of who you are and stepping into it. So faith doesn't change the nature of reality any more than opening up the drapes changes the nature of life. Faith tunes into reality and releases your imprisoned splendor. You see, in pre-Columbian times, everybody believed that we lived in a flat world. They had a belief system. We lived in a flat world. And their belief in a flat world did not change the round world a bit. So really, that belief, that faith that they had no effect on the round world. When the discoveries of Columbus and Magellan came into being, to believe in a round world did not require making changes in the flat world. You see, faith doesn't really change things. It changes the way you relate to them. It's the same world, right? But you're just believing one thing or the other, and it's just a shift in how you see things. And that's what really changes. You don't need faith in God. God doesn't need faith in you. God is already ever present everywhere at all times. It already knows you're special. It created you. It had an idea in its mind for you that is holy and spectacular and completely individual and different from everybody else. It decided to create you as its enterprise. You're an enterprise of the divine. It's invested in you and continues to be invested in your uniqueness, in your individual gifts, and in how you contribute to the whole. And as you recognize that you are worth it, because you were created as worth it, you start creating that sense of sacred giving in your life. Because you realize, as I realize, that each and every person in this world was created for sharing of our divine gifts. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The gifts inside of you are not yours. They're ours. They're ours, right? Because if you keep it inside, they're nothing. But if you share your gifts, that's where everybody benefits. And it's in sharing your gifts that the world benefits from who you are. And so each and every person, it's incumbent on you to find out who you really are and to share those gifts with the world, because we need you. We need to live in a world that works for everyone. And the world that works for everyone is a world where you claim your own sense of divinity. You claim your own sense of joyful givingness to the world. The truth is, abundance is an ever-present reality. There is an abundance for you right now, even as there is a round world within a flat world. One idea simply transcends the other. This is what transcendental means. We're not talking about two different worlds, but two ways in which you perceive and lay hold of the one world. So my question to you is, do you live in a world of lack and hardship? Or do you live in a world of abundance and limitless substance? How many times do you say, I can't? You know, truly, the worst disease in this world is not Ebola. It is I can't-itis. I can't because I'm sick. I can't because I'm poor. I can't do this because I don't know how. I can't because I don't have the resources. The truth is, every time you say I can't, you're creating a limitation on an unlimited source. Because you have an unlimited source. The truth is, you can. My second year in ministerial school, my father passed away, and it was very challenging for me. I managed to stay in all my classes, but I lost an internship. I had to take an internship. And then your senior year, you're supposed to kind of like front load your classes in the first 2 years, and then your senior year, you have light load of classes. Well, I really couldn't do that. I had to have a full load of classes, then take my senior exams, and I had to do 2 internships, which to me seemed impossible. So I went and talked to the dean. I said, look, Dean, I don't know, I can't really do this thing. I know I can finish ministerial school, but I can't do it in 1 year. And he says, why not? And I said, I don't know. I just don't know how it's going to work out. And he said, are you in charge of how it works? Or do you just walk and trust that it works? And I was like, well, okay, well, I might as well try, because who knows? Who knows if it'll work? But it did. I honestly have no idea how I passed all of my exams and I did all that. And for those of you who are in ministerial school, understand that it's really, like, literally, it seems like it's impossible. But the truth is that the infinite mind that created all of this, us, our bodies, the amazing sacredness, the world, the globe, everything that's going on, that mind knows how to do things that I don't know. And so if I can just let go and surrender into the idea and just walk forward, knowing that it'll happen and I don't know how, it does. And I've tried it. You should try it too. Because it works. And it's fun. It's fun to let go and surrender and then watch it unfold before you. It's a beautiful thing. There was a guy who crashed his plane in the Andes, and he came to a huge fissure in the ice. So it was like snowy, and it was really bad. He walked up to this fissure, and it was literally like 10 feet from one space to the next space. And he knew he had 3 options. He had, the first option is that he could give up, and if he gives up, he's going to die. He's going to freeze. The second option was he could jump knowing that it's impossible. And the third option is he could jump knowing that it's possible. And so he decided to go ahead and believe the third thing. And so when he ran and he went and he jumped, he said really loud, I can! And he managed to land on the other side. Now, he doesn't know how that happened, but he knows that he tapped into something that created it and have it happen. So this is possible for you too. Even if you don't know, just believe in the idea that it is possible. So the third step is evaluate your attitude towards work. Are you part of the labor market? Do you comment on your job by saying it's a living? I know Kathy talked a little bit about this last week. Is work a life sentence from which you retire from with time off for good behavior? You see, there's no way that people can change their lives from indigence to affluence until they alter some of your thoughts and feelings about work. So there's a couple of myths. I'm going to tell you just a couple of myths about earning money because it affects how you spend your money. One is hard work. Number one, hard work is the causative factor that produces wealth. By the way, this is from the book, Money is My Friend. The truth is that there is a middle-class workaholic that goes on. And if hard work does produce wealth, then they would be wealthy, but they're not. So this is just a myth. The second is, it's not right to enjoy yourself and get paid for it. If you go to like a 49ers game or a Giants game, there's going to be people there that paid a whole heck of a lot of money to be there, and they are happy. And then you're going to go see the ushers, and some of the ushers are miserable, and they're getting paid to be there, right? Now, why is that? You can enjoy yourself and get paid for it. It's okay. I'm just giving you permission. Just take me, for instance. I'm enjoying myself, and you're paying me for it. Thank you. The third thing is the right occupation is the key to financial success. Well, that's not true at all, because there's rich gardeners and impoverished doctors. The fourth myth, is that education will ensure your financial success. If you go to an unemployment office and you take a survey on what people have done before they were unemployed, you're going to find PhDs, you're going to find waitresses, you're going to find all different kinds of people who are in all different types of jobs. So really, education has nothing to do with that. If you are not educated, you can still get a job. And if you are educated, you can still get a job. No matter what, you can still get a job, and it can be something that you love. It's absolutely possible. And the fifth thing is that there's not enough to go around, which people believe that it's better to be poor and pious than rich and evil, which causes the resentment of rich people. So if you resent rich people, you're never going to be one. I'm just saying. So it's time to celebrate who you are. Celebrate the people around you. Celebrate the fact that you are a divine creation, the enterprise of the Holy One, that you are walking on holy ground that was created for you, that you are deserving of the abundance, and all you have to do is recognize that you're deserving of it. You see, a corporation prospers by consciousness, the collective consciousness of its workforce. But this is true for a spiritual center. This is why we do this. Because if you recognize your abundance, if you recognize that you are prosperous, and you start feeling it, opening yourself up to that divine flow, this center is successful. And so your success is our success, always. And the truth is, we're all connected. So your success is everybody's success, always. So it's okay to accept it and embody it. So are you willing to imagine something greater for your life?
Yes.
Will you choose to say, I can? And what contribution can you make to your job and to this center? Let's pray.